Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for Championship Review round number 40. And I sit here with some sense of pride. We did get through the mad, ridiculous, football-filled Easter weekend. There are still 2 games to go, as you can see on the ticker. But it's been jolly busy since Thursday, basically, and going to wind down today, finish off Super Stream tonight, and then I'm going to have a rest tomorrow. But it's been great. Thank you, everybody, for following me through the weekend. And wow, if you were on the Super Stream yesterday, you will know that it was pretty dramatic, particularly in the last 15 minutes or so in the Championship games. And those are the ones that we are going to review right now. You can see them ticking along the bottom there. We've got 10 games to talk about from yesterday. I'm aware that there are another 2 tonight, but we'll be doing them on the Super Stream. And like I said, I want to rest tomorrow. So that's exactly what I am going to do. We're going to talk about all of those 10 games. And of course, in order to do that, I need your help. I need your opinions after each and every one of those games, as the picture, this league table that we're ultimately going to finish with at game 46 becomes clearer and clearer. If you are a Coventry fan, you're probably quite happy watching us today. If you are a Watford fan, you're probably still quite happy. If you're a Brentford fan, you're quite hopeful. If you are a Swansea or a Rotherham fan, you're probably watching through your fingers because it wasn't a good weekend for all teams, let's just say. Right. Let me know you can see me, hear me loudly, clearly. We're going to do our plugs and then we're going to get into the games. Thank you, as ever, to our friend Russ, a fan and now friend despite mentioning several tastes in football teams. He is our fan sponsor for all of these review shows. Thank you, Russ. He got involved over on, where's my Patreon plug? There we go. Over on Patreon, subscribe via Patreon, exclusive shows, Thursday Q&A, quick predictions, classics reviewed, all good fun. We'll amp that up next season as well. Super chat, you can support at any point in the broadcast. First chat in the stream becomes the king of the bin and owns the fake news sin bin. There's news on this because I have inherited some more real estate. I'll tell you about that in a sec. On YouTube, hit like, Facebook, hit a thumb up, wherever you see it. Subscribe, ring the bell. Over 15,000 subscribers on the channel now, brilliantly. So now, not only do I own the fake news sin bin, but after the weekend, I have invested in Pedant Corner, where you will be going. And this is not exclusively, but I had my pronunciation corrected on several occasions on yesterday. There we go. So you're going in Pedant Corner now if you break that particular rule. So we now have plenty of places to send unruly commenters, but we get some brilliant commenters, don't we? And we want your opinions coming in. Let's get into this. You can see all of the results ticking across the bottom there. Let me just bring the round up. And there are the scores. Borough 1, Watford 1, Blackburn 0, Bournemouth 2, Coventry 3, Bristol City 1, Luton 1, Barnsley 2, Forest 3, QPR 1, Reading 3, Derby 1, Rotherham 0, Wickham 3 in one of the big results of the day, Stoke 1, Millwall 2, and probably the other really big result of the day, Swansea 0, Preston 1, Sheffield Wednesday 5, Cardiff 0. It was probably the round of the season, wasn't it? It was just crazy at the weekend. Let's go through one by one. And first of all, with the knowledge, yes, we know that both Norwich and Brentford are playing tonight. So we'll start with Middlesbrough 1, Watford 1, which was the watch along, the first part of the Super Stream. Thank you for your comments. We'll pick them up. So talk to me about this game. I mean, if you look at the numbers in isolation, there only one shot on target for Borough. Watford will be disappointed not to win this one. There are your teams there. Bettinelli, Fisher Hall, McNair, Boller, Morsey House and Spence, Saville, Cabano, Watmore for Borough, Backman, Firmina, Ekong, Siralta, Messina, Chalobah, Hughes, Zinkernagel, Sema, João Pedro and Sarr for Watford. Watford, of course, going for a 7th straight victory, something which Barnsley, Norwich, Cardiff nearly did, didn't they? I think they did 6, but a couple of teams have had good streaks recently. And Watford had the lead in this one. Zinkernagel hits the shot. Look at Sarr. I thought he was offside. He's not. Deflects off him into the net. Open up debate on handball law, blah, blah, blah. Two kind of contradicting, well, not really, because one supersedes everything, but the ball bounces up, hits Zinkernagel's hand. Now, that is not handball unless you immediately score from it. So the rules are just a bit dumb at the moment, aren't you? I can't fathom the idea that what happens after an infraction decides whether or not it's an infraction or not. So basically, if Zinkernagel hits that shot, it deflects off a Middlesbrough player and goes out for a corner, it's not handball. If it hits Sarr and goes in the goal, it is handball. But there you go. Let's not get into that. That's the laws as they're written at the moment. We suspect that a pedantic, they can go pedant corner, can't they? VAR would have probably disallowed that one, but we don't have it in the Championship. It wasn't seen, it wasn't given, whichever way you want to look at it. Watford 1-0 up with that one. Lovely delivery by McNair. Look at that line of Watford players, and he still managed to find Balassi to header that one in. 1-1. Big picture for Watford is still good. That does, however, depend slightly on what happens with Brentford tonight from Watford's point of view. As it stands, they've gained a point on Swansea, who we'll talk about in a minute. But, of course, a Brentford win tonight puts them to 72. And that gap is then, if you're a very optimistic chasing fan, that gap goes to 7 points. And, of course, then we know there's a game in hand. And we also know there's a game remaining between Brentford and Watford. So you could argue destiny being in one's own hands, although Brentford and Watford will both claim their destiny's in their hand because they'll both say they can win that game against each other. But if you're optimistically arguing in Brentford's favour, you can say they win the game in hand, they win tonight, and they win against Watford. It's a 1 point gap rather than a 7 point gap. But that assumption makes a hell of a lot of leaps, doesn't it? But there we go. We've got to keep it interesting, haven't we? Borough 57, 8 points, 9 points off the playoffs now with 6 to go, 1 point in the last 3. On the beach now, Warnock needs to go and find some strikers. So the Watford run ends the winning streak, but it's still a damn fine run. They have 79 with 6 to go. So if they can get 11 points from the remaining 6, they'll have 90, which should be well enough. I'm talking there 3 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat would take them to 90. Even 3 wins and 3 defeats for Watford would take them to 88, which time is running out. I think, look at Swansea. Swansea can only get 90 even if they win all of their games. So, yeah, it's getting very close to decisive now at the top of the table. Stephen, so true. Warnock does need to find us some strikers. We'll talk. I'll do a bit of reading on this embargo stuff. It does seem possible bit of non-story, but yeah, I have read about this, etc. Zinkernagel becoming a good player. Yes, good output from Zinkernagel. Agree. Tom, anyone more? What else have we got? Morsey is out for the rest of the season now. As a Norwich fan, I retract my otherwise forgotten comment about the apparent vanishing of the one-stub Premier League cartel. It was the parachute cartel, actually. But yes, and yeah, look at the news from the EFL today. So What are you going to do? Hey, what are you going to do? Anything else on Watford and Borough? I think we are all good. Let's move on to the next one. Middlesbrough's lack of striker cost them the playoffs. Transfer embargo, an administrative issue. Yeah, if you looked, Luton and Coventry were very quick to come out and say, look, it's to do with the different reporting timeframes because of COVID. So, yeah, it's probably a bit of a non-story. I suspect what is not a non-story is the standard of the way the money is distributed in the Championship. But hey, you've heard me prattle on about that. Wow. Swansea 0, Preston 1. And I've tweeted me getting very excited with this late goal. Unbelievably, Swansea have decided to lose 4 straight games in a row coming into the business end of the season. The home straight. What an awful run for Swansea. And I found it quite funny watching myself back just yelling, what are Swansea doing? Because we said fine margins, didn't we? I don't know, 6, 8, 10 weeks ago, and that you can either keep playing those fine margins or something will go wrong. And sadly, it's been that something will go wrong if you're a Swansea fan, and they lose again for the 4th game in a row. Get your thoughts in on Swansea 0, Preston 1. Congratulations, Frankie McAvoy. That's a win for the Preston caretaker manager. There are the teams: Woodman, Roberts, Cabango, Guay, Manning, Hurahan, Grimes, Fulton, Whittaker, Ayew, and Lowe. So a change of system from Steve Cooper. Felt like a bit of a Hail Mary. He's played a back 3 so consistently, hasn't he? But goes to the back 4, and sadly at the moment nothing is working for Steve Cooper, and it's flipped from everything was working for Steve Cooper to nothing is working for Steve Cooper now. This Preston team: Iverson, Vandenberg, Story, Lindsay, Hughes, Whiteman, Ledson, Barkhazen, Potts, Evans and Reese up top. And here is the very, very late goal. Oh, it's a horrible one, isn't it? Sinclair nips in behind. I think it's long throw, bibbly bobbly, which David Bowie song has bibbly bobbly in. Woodman makes the save, and it just bounces off Grimes without a Preston player in sight. Look, that ball could just bounce back anywhere else, but it hits Grimes and goes into the back of the net disastrously for Swansea. Yes, I understand there's not that much difference between a draw and a late loss, but in terms of confidence and psychology, there really is. You know, if you keep the clean sheet and you draw the game, you have something to build on, whereas now it's just an aberration of a streak for Swansea, isn't it? My God, 4 straight defeats. And I mean, generally, look at the top 6. I know Norwich and Watford have set a blistering standard recently, but look, draw, 4 losses, draw, loss for Barnsley in there. Okay, still got 10 points, haven't they? Reading, draw, loss, draw. Does feel like points per game push has levelled out, especially for those teams currently in those playoff positions, all at the same time. Maybe I wouldn't quite include Barnsley in that, but you take my overarching point. So Swansea now 10 points off Watford. Brentford can obviously go 3 points above that. I mean, if we're doing maths, we can add up arguments to make Swansea catching up. Of course we can. But if we're doing eye test and psychology and how the players are feeling, we probably have Swansea just want to regroup, get themselves together and get ready for the playoffs and stop losing games at the moment because it's all gone dreadfully wrong. Preston, 48. So good job since Alex Neil's gone, because they've played Norwich and Swansea. A little bit jammy to get a point against Norwich, weren't they? But they got 4 points in the 2 games. It is what it is. And 48, and especially given what happened with Rotherham at the weekend, they're 13 points above the relegation zone. Yes, Rotherham have a load of game in hands, but 48, come on. lots of people were telling me, "Oh, keep an eye on Preston, Ben. They're manager now." I think 48. They could pack up now and probably still stay up without kicking another ball, couldn't they? Yes, Queen. Yeah, I can't say that word. Well done. I didn't know what it was. Is it that one? Tune. Anyway, pamphlet. It's a nice word. Don't know why you've written it there. She's so swishy, sadden and tat. That's the one. And Vancode and bibbity bubbly. I could do better than that. Martin says he was right. Said Preston would win. Was that more in hope than expectation? Could Swansea do a Forest, Edward? I can't say no to that at the moment. Can I? Not good. Not good at all. Maybe Swansea prefer the idea of championship and no VAR. Let's face it. Swansea just aren't very good. But, well, I'm going to say I don't think you're in second place in the league purely on luck, are you? Or I know you're not saying that. You're saying been very lucky to be up there. But it's hard for me to disagree with being very lucky to be up there because it's all gone off now, hasn't it? A late loss every time a team then concedes, they worry and drop back. Yeah, exactly. The psychology of it is not good. Alistair, we are safe. Just a matter of building some momentum in Preston. Club going into summer. Smart managerial position. Club are in a different spot. Yeah, well done, Preston. They just needed those 4 points, didn't they, just to get to 48. Swansea conceded the sort of goal you only concede when you're on a bad run. Yeah, it kind of loops up, just hits the post and falls into the keeper's hands on a good day, doesn't it? Sorry, everyone's got this David Bowie song. I was the only person who couldn't know it. Swansea worst form in the league last 5 games. Just in Wickham's form for the last 5 games. Unbelievable. Swansea will slip out of the playoffs. Not Cooper's fault. Haven't had a proper centre forward all season. Well, lots of narrative. And John asking about Swansea in the playoffs. Remember, Forest were exactly the same last season in terms of the evidence before the drop-off. Forest was, okay, Graben's outscoring his XG. The defence are playing quite well. They're winning a lot of tight games. The underlying numbers aren't that good. It's all on a knife edge. We said all of those things about Swansea, didn't we? So I cannot disagree with you guys saying this stuff in the chat because it happened last season where a team on fine margins with a good defence and a efficient goal scoring record just plummeted in the final weeks, just ran out of steam or luck, whatever words you guys want to be losing or using in the chat there. Right. You might want to check this out, guys. I found a very useful page on the Transfermarkt website, which does this for you and gives you all the run-ins. So there they are. I mean, we don't really need to look at Norwich's, but particularly, pay attention to Watford's. Reading and Luton next at home, then Norwich away, Millwall, and then Brentford and Swansea. I suspect if you're a Watford fan and you were to take 5 points from Reading, Luton and Norwich, which would then be 84 with 3 to go, you'd be pretty confident then. And then destiny in your hand, just don't lose against Brentford and or Swansea. Easier said than done. There's the Brentford run-in. They go tonight. Birmingham, Preston, Millwall, Cardiff, Bournemouth, Rotherham, Watford, Bristol City, and just Brentford and Swansea. If they're going to make a chase, they need to win 3 and 4, don't they? Just and hope that Watford don't go on another mega run. And Swansea, do I even read it at the moment because they're not winning games? Millwall's not easy and they're in good form. And then Sheffield Wednesday and Wickham, the bottom 2. So think what you will of it. In terms of Norwich's sort of promotion date, if you look at the next 2, Huddersfield and Derby, you would estimate 4 to 6 points from that for Norwich. So it could be a really nice scenario for Norwich fans because you might expect points per game to just level out a little bit. Look at that, Bournemouth, Watford, Reading and Barnsley. So most of the top 6 in the last 5 games. So they'll probably just want to get it done and dusted before then and freewheel over the finish line. Let's move on. And it is Barnsley we are talking about next. And I believe we have to do another tip of the cap to Barnsley. We've done several this season. A club record, 6th straight away victory. So, we'll do it again. Another tip of the cap to Barnsley, who won at Luton. But if you were on the Saturday Super Stream in quite crazy fashion at the end there with the penalty to go 3-0 up and then conceded literally straight after. So they didn't make life easy for themselves at the end when they could have been seeing the game out 3-0 and DK could have had a hat-trick. Luton playing beach ball now. They seem to have just dropped off since hitting that 50 points. A couple of defeats since then for Luton when they got to that lovely 50. Big picture, obviously, excellent from Luton. But as I said, when they hit 50, it's right, how close can you go to 60 now? Because there would obviously have still been 9 games on the table for Luton at 50 points. So there's your Luton team: Sluga, Clark, Pearson, Naismith, Craney, Dewsbury Hall, Ray, Tunnicliffe, Mpanzu, Nombe and Adebayo. For Barnsley, we do even need to read the team anymore because the entire back 8 is always the same, isn't it? Or give or take one player. Collins, Sibic is in, not Solbauer. Hellick, Anderson, Styles, Britton, Palmer, Mowat. So stable there. Adebayo, Woodrow, and DK now, who's I think it was 7 goals in 10 games. Turning out to be a rather useful signing, Daryl DK. He's going to score 2 more in this one. Here he comes. Power. Good ball by Woodrow. You can see in number 9 further back in the picture there. Power, pace, slams it in with the right foot. Good finish, good accurate finish there for 1-0. Bit of a muggy one for the second one. Luton will be disappointed with that. And they're all converging together and DK manages to force in number 2. And then it all goes silly for that 1 minute, doesn't it? So there is DK. Fortunately, referee thinks that, is it Bradley or Pearson? I always get them mixed up. It's Pearson has made a deliberate attempt to play the ball and therefore doesn't send him off because he's inside the box there. And Sluga saves the penalty, stops the hat-trick, and then here comes Collins in pretty much exactly the same position DK was. A little bit trickier distance out there and slams the shot in for a nervy finish, but Barnsley get over the line. Great job by then. I mean, if you look at the underlying numbers, 7 shots on target to 2 and 3 big chances to 0 would imply Barnsley made it a little more uncomfortable than it needed to be. So 68 for Barnsley, but the tide rose, all ships rose together at the weekend because Barnsley, Reading and Bournemouth all won. So nobody really got any advantage over anybody else. At this stage of the season, when you're in these races, you can take a draw, providing your opponents lose. And that's almost, obviously it's good to keep winning, but you'd rather just be pressing home that advantage and sticking more points gap in the moment. So Barnsley 68 with 6 to go. Even if we go 1.5 points per game for the rest of the season, for Barnsley, you can add on 9. Should be 77, which will surely be enough unless we get a crazy chase. But have a look at Reading's fixtures if you want to think about, all 3 teams are all just going to win until the end of the season. Well, we'll bring all of the fixtures up and you tell me. But Barnsley nicely placed. Remember, 10-year average, I think I can bring it up. Sorry, too many numbers on the screen. But if I bring it up, I think it's 72, isn't it? So 7th place is 71.9. So 72 gets the playoffs on average. They're looking like they're going to go over that number. They'd only need 4 points from the remaining 6 to do that. And like I said, with Luton, 13th, 50 points, safe, 15 off the relegation line and plenty of traffic. Just want to add some more points on, and it does kind of look like a little bit, Nombe and Adebayo up top, maybe a bit of looking at next season already for Nathan Jones. Let's have a look at your comments. From relegation battle to top six, typically is this Barnsley. Yeah, of course. What else are you saying? DK good value for 17 million. What are you talking about, Joe? No idea what you're talking about. Really poor form from Luton. Didn't play football until it was too late. I know that Barnsley play high press. We were shocking defensively. Pearson had a nightmare. 7 for only 4 points off 4th. We have a race on our hands. Possibly. I'd still look at it and say 3 from 2, I think. As you would say, Ben, this is a Barnsley storm in a bottle. Would I say that? I'd say perfect storm. With others erratic around them. Big opportunity is absolutely could have done with scoring that penalty. Indeed, Martin Barnsley swamped us first half, high line and ran around. They're thrilling to watch, aren't they, Barnsley? Incredible, yeah. That Luton goal was shades of Hog Deeney against. Yeah, it was. Actually, someone get the stopwatch out. See if Deeney got there ahead of James Collins. James, quite a dominant performance. The numbers said that, and the Luton fans are saying that as well. Great double save by Sluga, and Collins getting his customary goal against us. Yeah, where's Collins going to end up next season? Contract is up. Interesting. That's his release clause. Well, so they've got him on loan, haven't they? I'm sure they won't be spending 17 million on him. And remember, not all release clauses are met, are they? Often, and a lower offer can be accepted. But yes, Barnsley won't be spending 17 million on Daryl DK. Option to buy. Yes, there we go. Right, let's move on. And who is next? Reading 3, Derby 1. Good win for Reading. And I think we need to give Mr. Paunovic a tip of the cap here, because the Reading fans said, oh, will he drop Lucas João, or rest Lucas João? Use whatever words you're comfortable with there. And he did, and it worked, because Puskás, the replacement, scored, and then João scored from the bench. A couple of brilliant goals in this game from Lawrence and Elise as well. There's your Reading team. Raphael, Yidam, Holmes, Moore, Richards, Laurent, Rinomota, Maite, Elise, Ejaria, and Puskás. So João just taken out of the firing line, and what a good decision that turned out to be. Excuse me. For Derby, Marshall, Byrne, who's got injured now. That's not good news. Wisdom, Mengi, Forsyth, Shinnie, Sibley and Lawrence wide, Knight and Bird, Kazim Richards up top. No Gregory, no Waghorn. Now maybe no Byrne. And of course, the big one is no Bielik. And yeah, tricky. But good news below Derby. Put it that way, with Rotherham losing. Let's have a look at the goals. I think I'm contractually obliged to tell you Michael Elise is only 18 as he slams this one in the corner, top corner, in fact, with the left foot. Lovely goal by him. It's a good finish by Puskás. Maite comes in off the right, and that bounces right at him. And that's really good play, actually, to readjust and stretch out and just cushion that into the net on the rebound. Look at this for a goal. How far out is Tom Lawrence there? Anyone want to guess? Because it's on diagonal as well. That's over 30 yards, isn't it? You can see by the stripes on the pitch, they're normally 6 yards each, isn't it? Plus, with the diagonal, what a goal by Lawrence there. Drills that into the top corner. Brilliant stuff. That gets pulses racing, but there is Lucas João, and he forces in for 3-1. Nice job indeed. And there is what it does to the table. We'll bring up all the fixtures once we've done Bournemouth as well. And Reading needed that. They really did, given Barnsley and Bournemouth both were victorious. And a nice little Nice little rising tide there, but yeah, just all eyes on Bournemouth with 3 straight wins and a game in hand. But Reading have proven that they can tweak and give Zhao a bit of a rest and maybe have him firing again if they are going to make that final playoff push. Derby have 43 points from 40 games, so they're 3 above a point per game, same as Coventry, just better than Birmingham, and obviously better than all of the bottom 3. Still slightly worrying, isn't it? And we know Derby's next game's against Norwich as well, isn't it? So they may stay on 43. Looks like far enough of a gap. But we go back to our wild card week with Rotherham, don't we? And just depends, what can Rotherham do in the 4-game week? Can they make the games in hand count, or will we be sat here at the end of that mad week for Rotherham saying, oh well, move on, bottom 3 are adrift? Let's have a look at your comments. Where are we scrolling to? We're being nice to each other in the chat here. I hope we are. Any stuff on Derby and Reading? There we go. Reading been a bit stop-start this season. What about Elise's celebration? He is off, no question. Yeah, you would think so. Come what may, he is going to be disappearing. Elise's goal was sensational, but Lawrence's was incredible, wasn't it? Will Rooney keep his job? You would suspect he would do. What about Burn? There's some injuries there, Chris. Anyone know what's happening with Nathan Burn there? Another big decision for Paunovic on Friday. Puskás or Zhao up front. Quality front four was decisive, although Derby were half decent. Raphael made some good saves. Lawrence, 6 goals against Reading now. Incredible. Ridley thought it was an even game. Derby gave away 2 sloppy goals. And here, do you want to go in Pedant's corner? It's Elise, but nobody cares. Swift back for Friday, apparently, says Clem. Want to ease him back in. Let's move on and talk about Bournemouth, who won again at Blackburn. A 3rd straight win for Bournemouth, who are looking a little bit dangerous, aren't they? Full of Premier League or ex-Premier League players, and stabilised a bit now under Woodgate and on a little bit of a run. And as the Norwich fan pointed out earlier in the chat, my parachute cartel, are we going to be reuniting them before the end of the season with 2 of them in the top 2 now, and possibly Bournemouth moving back into the playoffs? The points per game projection says Bournemouth back into the playoffs. Of course, they're a point behind Reading, but they do have a game in hand, which could just edge them ahead. There's your teams there. Blackburn struggles continue here. Kaminsky, Nyambe, Lenihan, Harwood, Bellis, Douglas, Tribal, Johnson, Rothwell, Elliot Armstrong, Dolan Armstrong returns and misses a penalty. There's just, I was going to say Stoke team there. I've done that before when I see Begovic. There is your Bournemouth team. Begovic, Smith, Carter, Vickers, Cook, Kelly, Lerma, Pearson, Brooks returns, Billing, Danjuma, and Solanke up top. Here are the goals. Billing again. He's had a good season, hasn't he? Woodgate seems to have freed him up a little bit to get forward, and he's putting the goals in with that left foot of his. This is a brilliant goal by Danjuma. Check this one out. I don't know who the defender is, but they have, it's Lenihan, isn't it? 26, can't read the number, yeah. Absolutely mugs him off here, turns, nutmegs straight through and then curls it in the corner. Great goal by Danjuma. Smith, poor, gets done by Big Gallagher there. Penalty, but look at that, right down the middle, and Begovic is getting that with his left knee. And Bournemouth win again. They're looking good, but efficient. Look at that. 2 shots on target for Bournemouth was all it took to get a 2-1 win. But the results are flowing for the Cherries. 3 straight victories that can only be matched by Millwall at the moment in the divisions as the longest winning streak. And edge of the playoffs, 65, looking nice. Blackburn, well, tailing off good and proper. And we've talked about pressure on Mowbray since about Christmas now. And someone gave me the numbers the other day, something like 1 win in 11, 12, 13, I don't know. Let's just do what I suggested we would and stick up the remaining games. So that is your 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th teams. So Barnsley have Borough, Coventry, Huddersfield, Rotherham, Preston, and then Norwich. That doesn't look bad for a run-in. And possibly Borough heading to the beach, and Preston will be there. Huddersfield could be there. Just Coventry and Rotherham might make hard work. They're in the relegation battle still, aren't they? Reading is difficult. Look at this. Watford away. Many have gone there and failed this season. Cardiff at home. Mick never makes life easy. The Luton away. And then Swansea and Norwich. Who knows what Swansea will be doing there. Norwich will, almost certainly be up. Yeah, Norwich will be promoted by then for sure, won't they? And then Huddersfield on the last day. Looks tricky for Reading. They don't want to get 3 points behind going into that last game, possibly. Bournemouth, Coventry, Huddersfield. Then it gets a bit tricky. Look, Norwich, Millwall, Brentford. Wickham, who will likely be relegated by then. Well, who knows? And then Stoke on the beach on the last day. And, Cardiff are a few points behind. We'll keep our powder dry there. Let's have a look at your comments. Where shall we start? John was not a good attacking performance at all, but defensively didn't look troubled until the penalty. 2 moments of quality settled a pretty dull game. Nice. Woodgate ball working at Bournemouth. That didn't with us. It's a case of Woodgate having the players. And a good point. Stephen, Begovic save was beastly. Every time Billing scores, Bournemouth win. Is that true? Do you remember Ian Rush had that, John, for about 15 years at Liverpool? If he scored, they didn't lose, did they? Since the loss to Barnsley, Woodgate has elicited a consistent response. Easy for me to say, but you're right. Matt, who is Blackburn, I think, Bournemouth's easiest win this season. We're a soft touch. Seriously lacking going forward. Armstrong misses another penalty. Matt, would you change the manager now? Looks like it. Who did Bournemouth play in their game in hand? I think we just had that up a second ago, James, didn't we? Huddersfield away is the game in hand. Although game in hand, that's all just about the timing. It's look at all of the opponents across the games. Of course, an extra game is but you know what I'm saying, James. It's not always the identity of that one team that's the important thing. You could have Norwich away in your game in hand, but if the next 3 were all on the beach, things are looking rosy, aren't they? Nonsense I talk sometimes. Deary me, 1 win in 14 for Rovers, no goals from open play in 5. Being on the beach means no pressure, so can be easier. Oh, I don't say on the beach is more difficult or more hard. I just say they're on the beach. I'll leave that up to you. Stoke on the beach last day of the season. They're not Forest at the Plus. Again, I will reiterate, on the beach is on the beach. This is the Championship as well, isn't it? I think a change is necessary to put some life back into us on Blackburn, says Matt. Right, where are we going next? What is going on here? It's Sheffield Wednesday 5, Cardiff 0. Wow. If anyone, even in their wildest dreams, expected that to be the score in this one, well, I don't believe you. There are the teams, and just 3 up in 23 minutes, and some scorching goals in this one as well from Wednesday. Wildsmith, Ergaheed, Lees, Burner, Reach, Palmer, Bannon, Hutchison, Windus, Patterson and Rhodes. Phillips in goal for Cardiff. Nelson, Flint, Brown, Rules, Sang, Pack, Volks, Bakuna, Williams and Moore. And do you remember in my predictions, I said, McCarthy always does well at Cardiff, Hillsborough. They'll win. No, they didn't. They absolutely took a battering, and expect a very simplistic performance from... I've seen what McCarthy does after his team takes a battering. It will be simplified. There's the opening goal from Julian Borner. And look, before we do this, I'm going to issue a public apology to Callum Patterson. I made the QPR fans issue their own public apologies to Lee Wallace. We have mocked Callum Patterson for scoring probably the ugliest collection of goals this season. So I'm going to be apologising to Callum Patterson right now for besmirching his good name, for vicious rumours that he only scored ugly goals. My humblest apologies, Mr. Patterson, because look at that. Liam Palmer actually half volleys the cross. That is not a floaty cross as well. Driven at Patterson, who under pressure volleys it into the back of the net, first time with the right foot. So there on record is my public apology to Callum Patterson. Very well deserved. And we can add that to the comically, unaesthetically pleasing collection of goals he's scored this season. This one was brilliant as well. Adam Reach, I suppose they all thought Bannon might take it, and Reach pops it top corner. I think the same side as Phillips is standing as well. It's a great goal by Reach. Big counter-attack. Patterson to Rhodes. Rhodes strokes home 4-0. And then Reach. It looked like Cardiff. I must admit, I tapped out at this point and stopped watching football after the Super Stream. Looked like Cardiff just continually got picked off, having gone 3 down for those 4th and 5th goals. But what a win for Sheffield Wednesday. Will it make any difference in the big picture? Who knows? Cardiff are now 8 points off the playoffs. It was a bad day for Cardiff, wasn't it? Look, back-to-back defeats, and to take round 40 in isolation, everybody around them won. Look, Barnsley, Reading, Bournemouth and Millwall all have W's by their name. So, yeah, Cardiff look done, don't they? 58. If they won all of their remaining 6 games, they would hit 70, 15 points, 18 points. 76 with 6 wins out of 6. Is that going to happen? We've got quite nice fixtures, so that's what it would take. Not going to happen on the evidence of the weekend. Sheffield Wednesday have 6 points in 3. And actually, look at the bottom of the table there. Everybody except Derby has over a point per game going up to Huddersfield over the past 5 games. The tide has risen again. However, that has also opened up a gap. Sheffield Wednesday 35, Rotherham 35, Birmingham 41, Coventry 42. Birmingham play tonight. We'll have a look when we do Wickham at the relegation picture, but we will read your comments first. Watch everyone now predict Wednesday to stay up. Yes, and you've got to remember, one of my well-worn cliches, Ridley, is teams in the bottom 3 are in the bottom 3 because they don't win 4 games out of 6 at any time in the season. Yet, let alone the final few games of the season. Ethan, Wednesday fans want to get rid of Bannon, I guess. Yeah, more for them. Did sign a new contract, though, didn't he? If only we played like that, says Cynic98, for the past 38 games. Mick, 2 negative. Williams over Wilson. Mick loves Johnny Williams, by the way. Yes, I've issued my apologies. Unreal from the boys. What a performance, hey? Etheridge back. Bannon is a joy to watch when he's playing at his best, isn't he? Jest. Iain, I reckon that 5-0 will make a few in the bottom 8 a bit nervous. Need to follow it up, don't they? That reach goal was peachy, wasn't it? Indeed. Wednesday had 12 shots, 6 on target. Where has this team been all season? Turn this ship around. Absolutely. Right. I think we're all there for that one. Well, look, guys, you're discussing the relegation. Hold your thoughts. Wait for the Rotherham, Wickham and the Coventry, Bristol City games. We'll talk about that in a minute. Shall we head to the beach for a little while? And a lovely place the beach is. Although Millwall are trying to get off the beach here because they're winning every week now, aren't they? 4 wins in 5 for Millwall, who go to the Bet365 and beat Stoke 2-1. People joke about Birmingham winning the relegation cup at the end of every season. It's almost like Millwall win the 8th place cup. They go on a little surge, don't they? Seemingly at the end of the season, and here they come, the beautiful ones. So they're level on points now with 8th place Cardiff, and it's a 3rd straight win for Millwall. Stoke had been on good form as well leading into this. I think it was 10 points from 5 games. But Millwall do the job. Get your comments in on this one. There's your Stoke team. Davies, Chester, Suter, Bart, Smith, Norrington, Davis, Thompson, Mikel, Powell, Brown and Fletcher. For Millwall, Bialkowski, Wallace, Pearce, Cooper, McNamara, Malone, Mitchell, Wallace, Evans, Bennett, and Zohor was the starting 11. Look at that for a goal on a weekend where we got some absolute beauts. There's Murray Wallace scrambling over the ball as everyone looks on. Everyone's falling over. Wallace forces it over the line. A bit of a jammy one for Stoke here because Fletcher's shot deflects and acts as a perfect through ball for Brown, who sticks it in for 2-1. And here is a hashtag I could have scored that one. Mason Bennett, I think it's Jed Wallace, isn't it, in the picture, who squared it across to him. And Bennett scores for 2-1, gives Millwall the win. Millwall up into that 9th place position, having a good old run at it at the end of the season here. 58 from 40. Got a few difficult opponents left, Millwall, but I suppose it's in Millwall's nature to be disruptors, isn't it? They can have a say in a few people's season towards the end, and they're not going to be an easy game. Stoke, beach now, properly, parasols out, I don't know, 55 from 40, 11 off the playoffs. It's going to be confirmed mathematically in the next couple of games, especially given the rising tide around 5th, 6th, 7th positions. What are you guys saying in the chat on this one? Playoffs, says HS Fitness. Too far back, says me. Poor first half from Millwall. Good second half. Keefton belt the difference. 32 points now from 17. Woof. My suntan topped up nicely. The beach is a lovely place. Nice suede link. There we go. We'll keep dropping them in if people keep shouting them out. A smash and grab. A masterclass or a smash and grab. I'll go with the latter. There's not much difference between the two sometimes, is there? Chaos Luke. What else are we saying here? There we go. Mill will have 4 of the top 6 to play. That was my point indeed. Ryan, Swansea fan, I can't see us Swans beating Millwall. So, yeah, going to be disruptive, aren't they? Marching on together from Germany. Love your show. Welcome, Tony, over in Germany. I'd usually be quite confident against the bigger teams in the league. No Hutchison. Not confident with Pearce there. We'll see. Rowett corrected the 11, bringing in Keefton Beld and going with the midfield 3. Good work by Rowett. Good work by Millwall. and good work by Chris Houghton, because the next one is Forest 3, QPR 1. Forest moving on to 48 points, back-to-back wins. And again, don't want to be smug here, but we all predicted the Forest bottom out and then trend up as the fixtures got easy. Chris Houghton is nothing but predictable sometimes, isn't he? And a 3-1 victory against an informed QPR team who I think we were just talking about Millwall having 32 from 17. I think QPR were 32 from 16, weren't they? Going into this one, they're your team: Samba, Christie, Warren, McKenna, Blackett, Garner, Yates. It's going to be a bun fight to get Garner on loan next season, isn't there? Amiobi, Kravinovic, Myton and Graben. Dieng in goal for Rangers, Dickey Field, Barbet, Wallace, Kake, Bull, Johansson, Willock, Chair, Austin. Here are the goals. One really good goal in this game. A bit of an embarrassing one here. I don't know who gets robbed. I think it's Barbet, isn't it? Am I right? Gets robbed and beaten by Amiobi, and Myton taps it in for the opener. And what a goal this is by Graben. Receives, turns back in, spins back, and then he's going to put that in the top corner to Dieng's right. That's a brilliant goal. Well, here we go with our telepathy things, where lots of people will tell me that they can read James Garner's mind here, and they know exactly that he meant to put that in the far corner. Well, I'll leave that one to chance. I suspect it was a cross, though, wasn't it? Hey, Garner's playing well, and we're hearing lots of people interested in taking him from Manchester United on loan again next season. Done that one. Sorry. This one, lovely assist there. Adoma, I think that is, peering around the corner, and Lyndon Dykes heads in, and QPR fall to defeat. Forest will be joining QPR on the beach very, very soon. Who's the most beach-ridden? What's the difference between the playoffs and the relegation? So QPR are 13 off the playoffs and, oh God, my maths is bad, 18 off relegation. Forest are 13 off relegation and 18 off the playoffs. There you go. A little bit of mathematical jiggery-pokery for you. But Forest looks safe now with 48. QPR, well, planning for next season, I guess. Keep with this team and see what they can do recruitment-wise. It's going to be tricky, and then I'm sure they'll get some bids for Chair or Dickey from the parachute teams, because we're going to think everybody's going to be skint in the summer other than the parachute teams, aren't they? But don't start me on the system again. Right. We should do some comments on that one. I watched your show for Dearly Departed and Barnsley Future Departed. Lots of Yorkshire football fans are behind Derby, aren't they? Would love to get Garner back next season, says James. Don't see it happening, unfortunately. Well, we've heard Rooney wants him as well, and I assume Rooney gets to go as Manchester United's top scorer of all time, gets to go at the front of the queue. QPR's form is strange. I suspect they'll probably win a few before the end of the season, won't they? A couple, maybe. Let me rephrase that. Right, let's move on, and now we go into proper relegation matters, and a very good weekend for Coventry, and an absolute box office post-match interview from Nigel Pearson. If you haven't seen it, go and watch Nigel Pearson's post-match interview, because he goes in two-footed on the Bristol City players, absolutely buries all of them, basically, apart from the youngsters. A very interesting interview. We've seen managers try this at several clubs now, and it goes one of two ways, let's just say. Can really rub everyone up the wrong way and you're done if it does. Or it can sometimes get a reaction. But that's not the big story here. The big story is that Coventry got a very important win on the same day as Rotherham are losing. Coventry move on to 42, and they have a 7-point gap of course, with the caveat of Rotherham's games in hand. Get comments in on this one. There's your Coventry team. Morosi, Ostergaard, McFadzean, Pask, McCallum, Eccles, another youngster in there. Kelly, James, O'Hare, Godden, Walker. For Bristol City, Bentley, Simpson, Mariappa, Callas and Sessegnon. That will not have been the plan to end the season with that as the back four, would it? But what are you going to do, hey? Masengo, Viner, Naj, Semenyo, the incredibly unpopular Famara Jeju now, from what I'm hearing, and Naki Wells across the front. Get your comments in. Here are the goals. Ostergaard manages to force that one home early on from the set play just to settle Coventry down. Callas, a little bit unlucky, I guess. He himself trips, and isn't that what happened to Dander and Sunjic up the other end on this pitch earlier in the week? Change your studs if you're playing at St Andrews. He takes O'Hare, and Godden sticks the penalty home. Squeaky bum time here. I think it's McFadzean. Sorry if I'm getting that one wrong. Awful back pass, whoever put it back. And Wells slides through. However, there's another goal coming, squared across by O'Hare again for Gyökeres, who sticks it in the corner. Big win for Coventry. Really, really good stuff for the Sky Blues. And the most important thing really for Coventry was that they won on the same day that Rotherham lost. That's what you want, isn't it? In these head-to-head battles now, can you get that 3-point swing? It just makes life so hard for the people on the receiving end of it, doesn't it? And what a bad day for Rotherham. We'll talk about them in a minute, but look at that bottom of the table. We know the Birmingham W is last week's W, but look, you can still say Wycombe Wednesday and Coventry all won this weekend or this Easter Monday, and Rotherham lost. So Coventry have swapped again with Birmingham. Birmingham visit Brentford tonight, and of course a draw. What's the goal difference saying? 17 one way, 21 the other. So unless Birmingham can go to Brentford and win, Coventry will stay, excuse me, in 20th. 42 for Coventry. 7 games to go. 5 more points. 5 more points from 7 to take them to 47. Again, I'm pulling these numbers out of the air. None of it matters if Rotherham are going to go on a run of 4 defeats in 5. None of it matters at all. So we'll see how that pans out. But certainly a very useful weekend for Coventry. Callum, class, the polar opposite to Friday. Eccles played brilliant out of position at wing-back. Finally got to play Godden and Walker up front together. Worked a treat. Norwich and Brentford fan tonight. Well done, Callum. Good stuff. Bristol City need a big rebuild, to say the very least. Liam, actually, thank you. It was him who sent me the Nigel Pearson interview. And Liam, I don't know, and Anir as well as Bristol City, isn't he? What your views are. But from what I read in the comments under Twitter, it wasn't mixed. Everyone was behind Pearson and against the Bristol City players. So interesting. Very, very interesting. We're getting a lot of these players versus manager things this season. I wonder how much it's to do with there being no fans there, whether the fans are a good sort of buffer to stop this type of thing happening. But there we go. Big rebuild job. Annie, we were embarrassing. Completely back Pearson. There we go. A lot of players out in the summer. Going to happen, isn't it? Stefan, can't see us getting any points until the end of the season. We'd like to see the under-23s at least. Yeah, so all these Bristol City fans are behind Pearson's burial of the players. Nathan, a great result, brings up a lot of optimism. Eccles played well for his debut. 21st birthday. Happy birthday. It's always great when you bring a academy player through, isn't it? And they have a good debut. Great win for Cov. First time Pearson has lost to them as a manager. Still think Pearson should be doing a better job. Players don't seem to be playing for Pearson. A Marmite manager for players, maybe. Possibly, yeah. Coventry reliant on their home form. Only 3 more days to come. Fair point. Fair point indeed. Right, finally, a disastrous result for Rotherham, who were hammered, frankly, 3-0 at home to Wycombe. And I think I predicted a Rotherham win in this one in the preview stream the previous day. And, well, quite the opposite. Excuse me. And Rotherham fans would be looking at this one and thinking, okay, got this running, got all of these games in hand. What's the best start? Bottom of the league at home. Come on, that's the start. Away you go. And they've lost 3-0, 2 down in 24 minutes as well. Horrible day for Rotherham. And that as well, coupled with the wins for Coventry. That's the big one. We'll see what Birmingham do tonight. And I suppose to a certain extent, the two below them. Not that matters yet. It's all about where is that team in 21st? That is the context for the bottom three, isn't it? Not what else is everyone in the bottom three doing yet. We'll find out. There are your teams. Johansson in goal for Rotherham. Harding, Ihekwa, McDonald, Wiles. Wing, Barlaser, Lindsay, Crooks, Ladapo, Smith with a very short-shaved head. For Wycombe, Stockdale, McCarthy, Grimmer, Knight, Jacobson, Thompson, Adeniran, Musquet, Mametti, Onyedinma, and Ikpeazu. And they were in the lead really early in this one. Just a ball down the pitch. I think the flick on comes from a Rotherham head. In goes Musquet. Johansson shows him a lot of the goal to his left-hand side, doesn't he? And that's where Musquet puts it. And 1-0 to Wycombe. A little bit lucky on this one. McCarthy hits the shot. It's going to take a deflection. He shoots far post. The deflection takes it near post to do Johansson 2-0. Good goal this by Wheeler. Enjoyed this one. Played through, lovely first touch, and manages to, I assume he either nutmegs him or just managed to sort of slip it by the outside of one of his legs there. But good work by Wheeler for 3-0. And wow, stuff of nightmares there for Rotherham. I mean, 7 shots on target, no big chances though. And it just didn't happen for them. And there is the bottom of the table. And again, Rotherham have just teased us, haven't they? They've gone point per game, above a point per game, below, above. And now they're back below it with, and they've still got 10 games to play though, Rotherham, sensationally enough. So we said this was a possibility. It may or may not transpire that there is no relegation race and we get the gap and the bottom three are just adrift. At the moment, that's the case. But of course, that does not factor in the games in hand. But we have a 6-point gap at the moment. And Rotherham, well, we know in the mad week, we'll bring the fixtures up now. Well, we'll bring them up in a minute because we've got to give Wycombe some credit. And I'm sure many of you are going to name Wycombe as your team of the week as well. So we'll look at the fixtures and we'll focus on the Rotherham 4-game week coming up. Wycombe have 10 points in 5 games. Unbelievable. If they were to score 10 points in the next 5 games, they would go into the last game of the season on 43 points. So it still may not be enough, but they're really doing themselves proud with this late run this season, Wycombe. They're still, however, 8 points adrift with 6 to play, Wycombe. I can see your comments coming in. Let me just bring up the fixtures here. There is 19th to 22nd. So Derby have Norwich, which is tricky. Then Blackburn and Preston are on the beach. Derby, Birmingham, look at that. 3 games before the end of the season. I suspect one team will peg that as survival day if they can win that one with 2 to go. Swansea. And then if Derby are in trouble and Wednesday keep moving, Derby Wednesday on the last game of the season, although with 43, you'd think just a win anywhere in there for Derby and they're looking okay, aren't they? Coventry, Bournemouth away. Then we get the mad important game against Rotherham, which we will definitely watch along. And Barnsley as well. Stoke on the beach, but never easy. Preston on the beach. Huddersfield probably. Millwall trying to win the 8th place trophy as well. A lot depends on the game against Rotherham. I suspect Coventry will be putting a lot of eggs in that basket, the game against Rotherham. There's Birmingham's fixtures, Brentford tonight, Stoke. Then they too play Rotherham, Forest, Derby as well into the bargain. Cardiff, Blackburn on the last day away. And then Rotherham. And there is the 4-game week. Look, Huddersfield on the Saturday, QPR on the Tuesday, Coventry on the Thursday, Birmingham on the Sunday. And the number has got to be 7 points, hasn't it? 7 points from the 4 games means they would go to 42 from 40. And almost 6 points would do it, providing the 6 points come against Birmingham and Coventry. Rotherham cannot lose to Birmingham, either Birmingham or Coventry, or that gap stays the same. That's where they can do it, Rotherham. They've got the opportunity in the games against Coventry and against Birmingham, the direct opponents. They've got the opportunity, have to win those games, whereas their opponents will be saying, okay, just don't lose this, and the gap stays the same. Let's go to your comments. Wickham giving their fans something to cheer about, going down with a fight. Don't deserve to be called whipping boys anymore. Well, we definitely were calling them that at the start of the season. Wickham late playoff push with 2 points per game. Kicking down the sandcastles on the pizza, they go. Lovely stuff. Games in hand mean nothing. Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Games in hand do mean nothing if you're not going to get any points from them. Absolutely. And again, I'll repeat myself. There is no relegation race without Rotherham winning some games. So we will see. The chat were very pro Wickham for this one. They were. And I wasn't, was I? So well done, the chat. Generally feel for Iain and the other Millers fans. Hope they can shake off this one. Rotherham are playing better away at the moment. Seem to have lost confidence at home. Only have plan A. Vaughan must go. And Vaughan, it would be a third relegation, wouldn't it, from this one? How many points to stay up? I think 47 should be. You would think anyone with 47 would be staying up. Look, it could be way lower. We could have some silly scenario, Kelborn, where 22nd has 41 and 21st has 48 or something, and there's like a 7-point gap. And you have 48, but you only needed 42. Do you know what I mean? It could go like that if Rotherham just are out of puff. Cov could really do with resting, not 100% fit. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you'd think about that. What's the game before for Coventry? Can they take a hit on it? Bournemouth away. You almost would, wouldn't you? Yeah, rest up, have a good go at Rotherham. Although the thing is, Rotherham, fitness, schmittness, they can do you on a set play. You can have your first 11 completely firing on all cylinders, but they can still do you. Rusty, not resting. We talked about this a lot, and Callum makes the same point there. So before we do our goal of the round and team of the round, just have a quick look at the picture for Norwich, Brentford, Birmingham and Huddersfield tonight. So a Norwich win, there's a really good scenario for Norwich here. A Norwich win would take them to 87. I mean, look, they're going to get promoted anyway, but we're just talking about as and when. A Norwich win would take them to 87. If Brentford were to lose, you then have an 18-point gap, which leaves basically one game, doesn't it? If you're managing the 18-point gap, then obviously there's the game in hand. So potentially 2 games' time for Norwich. So anything less than a Brentford win really opens the door for Norwich to be getting promoted within the next 2 to, well, could even be 2 games, couldn't it? If they are at the 87-point mark. So for Brentford, they won't be looking at Norwich. They'll be looking at Watford, of course. And the Brentford win takes them to 72. And if you are an optimistic Brentford fan, you say, right, beat Birmingham. And then what is the game in hand for Brentford as well? Let me bring it up. Sorry. Beat Birmingham, win the game in hand, which of course is against Rotherham, beat Watford, and it's only a 1-point gap. That's what, obviously that factors in 3 victories, doesn't it? But remember, you could still get a slip from Watford. Who knows? We're just assuming Watford are going to continue piling on at least 1.5 points per game between now and the rest of the season. For the teams down the bottom tonight, Huddersfield could really do themselves a favour, couldn't they? It's going to be really hard for them away at Norwich, but could go to 46 with 7 to go. But like a lot of those teams around there, you're just looking at a win and a draw, and you're looking a lot more safe. But hey, we've seen teams lose the last 4 or lose 4 of the last 6 and get themselves into real trouble. Birmingham, tricky. I know Birmingham fans have some idea that they tend to do well against Brentford. I think they won the last sort of few games against them, haven't they? I know they won the one this season and that crazy one last season where they won with 0.03 on the XG or something. Pedersen headed it in from outside the box. So difficult one for Birmingham tonight. But again, Birmingham's running does not rest on this game because they go head-to-head with Rotherham at the end of I think Sunday week, is it? I think it's next week, isn't it? But look, we'll be all over it. So that's the state of play tonight. Right, let me know now, who is your team of the week? I don't need an explanation. Just put the name of the team. We try and focus on the winners in this round. So let me give you some suggestions. You could go for Barnsley, who won at Luton. You could go for Reading, who beat Derby. You could go for Bournemouth, who beat Blackburn. You could go for Millwall, who beat Stoke. You go for Forest, who kind of got to the beach, didn't they, beating QPR. You go for Preston, who had a big away win under Frankie McAvoy at Swansea. You could go for Coventry, who had a pretty decisive win over Bristol City. You could go for Sheffield Wednesday, who won 5-0, for goodness sake. Or you could go for Wycombe. And I can see we're getting a lot of love for Wycombe. Well done, you lot. A lot of the times it's made about the teams at the top. Obviously, we try and keep it even all the way down here. Right. Can someone do a bit of a head count here? Wednesday, Wycombe, Wednesday, Wycombe, Wednesday, Wycombe, Wednesday, Wycombe. I think it's Wycombe, isn't it? Wednesday. Sorry, if you repeatedly write MK Dons, you're going in the fake news sin bin for 5 minutes. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, there's quite a few Wednesdays in there as well. Please only vote once. It's boring. There we go. Okay, so we're between Wycombe and Sheffield Wednesday. Right, and just give me the name. There you go, Sophie. Draw. Give me the name. And this is a really difficult one because there was loads of good goals. You don't need to give an explanation. And if you write no contest, there's no debate, end of story, I won't read your comment out because it's an opinion. Okay, so goal of the round. Here's some options for you. You could go Elise for Reading, Lawrence for Derby. You could go Dan Juma for Bournemouth. You could pick one of about 3 Sheffield Wednesday goals, Patterson or Reach particularly. You could go Graben for Forest. You could go any more good goals in there. I think we've said them all. Let me know if I've missed out any crackers. Those are the names that come to mind straight away. Let's have a little look here. What are you saying? Reach, Lawrence, Patterson, Lawrence, Patterson, Reach, Lawrence, Patterson, Reach, Patterson, Graben, Lawrence, DK, okay, Reach, Garner, really, Reach, Patterson, Lawrence. Okay, so I think we're between Patterson and Lawrence. I think surely we have to give it to Callum Patterson, don't we? Being I've issued the public apology today, and being Tom Lawrence will score a thunderbolt from outside the box again before long, won't he? Callum Patterson will not score a volley like that again for a while, will he? There we go. Here comes one next week. Now I've said that. There you go. Right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. It's been brilliant fun here. This has been the review show for round 40. Please join me tonight another super stream. I'll be on at 6:50. We'll be looking at the first half of Brentford and Birmingham, and then we'll flip between Norwich, Huddersfield and Brentford, Birmingham, and then we'll do the second half of Norwich, Huddersfield in its entirety. Please hit the subscribe button over on YouTube. Have a think about subscribing on Patreon as well. Best way to support my efforts here. If you want to shout out, let me know, and I'll click it up on the screen, even if I don't get to read it out. Say thanks again to Russ, fan and our friends, both men's terrible tasting football teams. He is our fan sponsor for the review show. Let's do some shout outs to Liam, David, Ange, Nat. Any more shout outs I'll stick up in the outro. Thank you everybody for your support. Join me tonight for the Super Stream. Only 2 games, but I'm sure some of you guys will watch Champions League as well and keep us updated on that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks as ever for your support. And it's a big over and out from me. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.